Hi guys, Kyla here, and today I'm going to tell you the story of my first car. Now, I don't really know where to begin with this story, so I'm just going to go back to the very beginning. I was born April 19th, 2000 to Jessica King and Sam Ginn. Alright, that might be a little too far back. Our story actually begins in 2016.
Who just won?
In 2016, a lot of cool things happened. LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers overcame a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals. I first fell in love with Kristen, and I got my driver's license and my first car. Now, it wasn't the coolest car, and it wasn't the most exciting car, but one thing about it is a 7-seater. And that meant that I was able to haul all my friends around and have many adventures that previously would have never been possible. My 2017 was spent like a typical 17-year-old. I got dive certified, I broke my arm, and I got grounded for sneaking out. And I did other things I probably shouldn't have done, but my car was with me every step of the way, even if that meant getting it stuck in some places that it definitely shouldn't have been. Now up to this point, this has actually been a pretty reliable car, and despite what the images from 2017 may suggest, I was actually doing a pretty good job at taking care of it and keeping up with all the upkeep and maintenance. But that did not change the fact that this was now a 15-year-old car, and one fateful evening it took its first major L. I was with my buddy Ryan in Portland to see the LA Lakers play against the Portland Trail Blazers in what was LeBron James's first game as a Laker. And while the game was a lot of fun, what happened afterwards was not fun at all. We went out to my car to try to start it to leave, and it just wouldn't start. And after a lot of finagling and my friend's dad coming all the way down to Portland to help us, we were finally able to get it started, but it was clear something was wrong. So we took it to a local mechanic shop, and he told us it would be done in about a week or so. So we were like, okay, that sounds reasonable. He said that the fuel pump was broken. So we're like, all right, cool. So we ordered a fuel pump and had him fix it, but it ended up taking way longer than he said it would, and every time we'd show up to pick it up, it'd still be broken. I'll give him some credit though. After a couple weeks, my car was fixed, and that doesn't even begin to compare to what happened in 2019. So 2019 had been much like previous years. There was a lot of fun and a lot of adventures and hanging out with friends, but at the beginning of September, a light came on indicating there was an issue with my transmission. So I made the mistake of taking it to Sauer Transmissions. And why was taking it to Sauer Transmissions a mistake, you may ask? Well, they kept my car for over a month, and they kept saying it would be done, which was, as you would imagine, very frustrating. But on October 4th, I finally got it back. But the light was still on and it was still broken. So I took it back, and then finally on October 18th, I got it back and all seemed well. That is until November 25th, when my car's transmission broke again. So since the work they did was under warranty, I begrudgingly took it back to the same place to get it fixed. And come to find out, the reason why it was broken was they had cobbled together old parts instead of using new ones like they said they would. And they ended up keeping my car until a couple days before Christmas. But by what I can only describe as a Christmas miracle, my car's transmission was fixed and never had an issue with it again, and my saga with Sauer Transmissions was finally over. So unlike the previous years, my car really held up in 2020, and there really is nothing to complain about or really even note about it. But there were a lot of struggles in my life otherwise and in the world, but all that just led to me further strengthening my relationship with God. There's been a lot of cool things this year. I became a YouTuber, I've traveled, and I've learned some new skills. But one problem with this world is that sin has made it really fragile, and that was on full display this year. On September 25th, my car broke down and both front wheel bearings ended up being completely shot. And at this point, my car had about 290,000 miles on it, And although I had been saving up for a while to buy a new car, I didn't quite have enough to buy a new one, so we opted to get it fixed instead. My great nanny, who I took care of every weekend, offered and was able to let me borrow her car. On October 19th, I received 2 phone calls. One phone call was that after 3 weeks, my car was finally fixed, and the other one was that my great nanny had fallen and needed her car back to be able to be transferred home. And my beloved great nanny was 100 years old, and when you're that age, any fall can be a critical injury. And sadly, on November 3rd, she passed away. And that loss was very hard for me, and to tell you the truth, it still is. But I take solace in the fact that she was a God-fearing woman, and I know that she's asleep in Christ and that I'll see her on resurrection morning. But regardless, on November 4th, I was, as you'd imagine, was very heartbroken and distraught. And as I was driving home, I became even more distraught because my car started to break down again. And this time it was the rear wheel bearing, and I think it actually messed up the rear axle as well. So my car is just limping home. And so I call up my grandma, I call her Nanny, and I'm like, hey Nanny, my car's broken and I don't know what I'm gonna do. We put all this money into it to try to get to work, and I just don't know what we're gonna do at this point. And she tells me that I don't need to worry about it. And I'm like, well, of course I need to worry about it. I need a car to go places and, whatever. And she's like, well, we weren't gonna tell you until tomorrow, but Great Nanny's car has been left to you. So you can just bring the car home, and then tomorrow we'll go get the new one. And at that point, I just completely lost it emotionally because I realized, and it hit me, that God had been keeping my car running until literally the last day that I needed it. And that just really floored me that, I'd been praying for a while and I'd been trying to get a new car, and every time I was getting close, something else would come up and I wasn't able to. And I would be questioning, I'm like, God, I know I need a new car. Why, what's going on? But all along, God had planned that, he knew I'd get that car that day. So he just kept my car running until I last needed it. And yeah, just really that amazed me. So while on the surface, this may just seem like a story of a goofy boy whose car broke down all the time, I tell you it to let you all know that if you put your faith and trust in God, he will provide for you, even if it's not in a way you'd expect or think it would happen. He will provide for you one way or another, and he knows your needs better than you do. Anyways, guys, I want to thank y'all for watching. If you want more content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.